Hello folks, Rob MaximumRD back once again from the confines of the laundry room as my wife drifts off into blissful slumber. I don't want to disturb her, so I've taken my video to the laundry room once again. And what we're looking at this time, I came across these Atari 2600 cartridges. I'm pretty sure they're the last of them. I did mention a couple videos ago that at some point I want to begin the process of trading off or selling things in my collection that I just don't see myself keeping. Now, I'm not even starting the process yet. It's not even the tip of the iceberg. But that said, I'm sure I will be selling or trading off these Atari cartridges at some point. I have a Harmony cartridge and my Halo Homebrew 2600 cartridge, and that's all I'm going to keep as far as original 2600 games go. Well, okay, the Harmony isn't an original cartridge, but it does let me load the ROMs of all these cartridges and more. So for the sake of space and convenience, I'll stick to my Harmony cartridge when it comes to 2600. And in the meantime, before I pack these away, just thought I'd give you a rundown and show you the last of my Atari cartridges. So let's go through them. I apologize in advance for not being able to get too close to the labels, but here we go. Alright, so here is a Atari 2600 game, Street Racer, with your text-based label. That's in pretty good shape overall. Street Racer. Next up we have Combat. That was a pack-in game for the 2600, so a lot of people have either played it themselves or they had a copy or perhaps multiple copies of good old Combat. And another text-based label, Basketball. There's Basketball. I'm missing the N label. I think it's definitely among the rest of these cartridges, but it fell off because the glue dried out. Alright. Now we have Joust with a nice label art with a silver background here. Joust, great arcade game. I've enjoyed this one a lot. And here is Desert Falcon. Desert Falcon for the Atari 2600. There we go. Football. Football with the nice classic art on the label there for Football. That's in pretty good shape, probably because, well, I never played it. I'm not big on football games. Another text-based label, the classic casino card game of Blackjack. Oh yes, probably the worst design ever for the shells for Atari 2600 games, made by Mattel. As you can see, what they pretty much did was use leftover shells from their Intellivision games and then just added this little piece on the end here to fit the width, making them the oddest looking, probably, and worst for stacking. They're horrible to stack, and I don't think there was any other kind of label, just the end label with the words. I've not seen another one, so maybe I'm wrong on that, but it appears to be all there is to the Mattel cartridges. Alright, now we're talking. Activision. Activision, here's Activision Boxing. I actually played this a lot back in the day. It was fun. Got to be pretty hectic after a while. Some of you may know one problem with Activision labels is they're kind of known for the glue, the backing, the adhesive, seeping through the labels over time. You can see a little bit more of it here, and creating this blotchy effect. It's unfortunately happens a lot with Activision labels. A great example, as you can see, is in this Pitfall game, the classic game by David Crane, Pitfall Harry's Jungle Adventure. You can see this label is very heavily spotty with the adhesive seeping through on that. Great game though. Oh, there's the label for the basketball we saw earlier. Chopper Command, excellent game. Chopper Command. Activision Skiing, great game. Oh, missing part of the label there. Not a great condition label at all, this one. What I like about the Activision shells is they have this little indent groove in the front, and on the back this protruding line, which when you stack them causes them almost to lock together in this fashion. So you can see they stay together pretty well. Another copy of Boxing, this one showing the effect of the spotty adhesive soaking through the label. Next we have Activision Tennis. Always fun to play some tennis. A game that really, other than the graphic improvements, really never changed much through the years. Fishing Derby, that's a cool game. Fishing Derby, another Activision game. This is a good one. Kaboom. Kaboom, using the paddle controllers. Get very fast and very intense. Kaboom. Now I have a couple Parker Brothers games here. First we have G.I. Joe Cobra Strike. G.I. Joe Cobra Strike, and I don't know if this label was originally in black and white like this, or if it was merely just worn out so much that it's lost its color. Not sure. Good old Frogger. Classic arcade game. Okay, and I believe the rest are just your standard Atari, and some of them are the Sears telegames variation. We have Defender, rescue the humans or humanoids from the alien abductions. A great arcade classic brought to the 2600. We have another variation of baseball, home run baseball. Again with the great classic 80s, or I should say late 70s, early 80s artwork. Excellent. Alright, now here's a great arcade game and a pretty darn good translation, minus the voice, in Berserk. Escape the evil robots trying to assassinate the human, and run from evil Otto. Berserk. Great paddle game right here. Circus Atari. A game, I believe this is like Snafu, which I'm not sure if it's on Intellivision or Atari 2600. I'm pretty sure it's on Intellivision. Snafu, it's the type of game where it's like Snakes, where you're moving around the screen and you create a trail behind yourself, so you got to try to avoid running into your own trail, or in the case where you're playing another opponent, your opponent's trail. It's also kind of like Tron's Light Cycles from the arcade game. Surround. Pretty sure that's what Surround is like. It's been a while since I've played that one. Great arcade classic. They took the vector graphics of the original arcade game and adapted it to the 2600. Of course, with the raster graphics, you had solid asteroids of different colors, but still worked quite well, and was a good port overall, considering that it was known in the arcade as probably the most well-known vector graphic game besides Battlezone. Oh, almost scared to show you this one, of course. We have E.T. for the Atari 2600, and I maintain that it's not as bad as people would have you believe. Sure, it couldn't have possibly lived up to the hype or the magic and wonder that Spielberg promised everybody in the E.T. movie. It was rushed to production and released very quickly. They made way too many cartridges. Was it a great game? No, definitely not. Was it a bad game? In my opinion, no. If you had the instructions, you knew how to play it. You knew what to expect. It really wasn't that bad a game. I did complete it back in the day, along with Raiders of the Lost Ark. Of course, it has a very bad reputation nowadays. And I would say that a lot of the people who crap on that game never actually even played it. So, anyways, here's Maze Craze. Maze Craze. I don't remember much about this game, but what's funny, looking at the art, we have what looks almost like a Keystone type cop and a criminal trying to sneak past him who looks like Gallagher, the guy who smashes watermelons. Go figure. But anyways, Maze Craze. Then we have some Sears telegames. Baseball, Sears telegames. Basic plain text-based label. We have telegames, 27 telegames. Shooting gallery, planes, submarine, ships. Use the joystick controller and have some Target Fun. Target Fun by Telegames. Alright, a great classic again, although much different looking than the original arcade game. Space Invaders is a classic in any version, port. Space Invaders, always fun. Another Telegames brand. This time we're looking at Night Driver. Night Driver, used with standard paddle controllers. There you go, another Telegames Sears Roebuck variation. Sears Telegames version of Pac-Man. Pac-Man, yes, everyone was looking forward to the arcade game brought home. Many were disappointed. It was really not a lot like the original arcade game. Not just the graphics, but the animation, the sound effects. We knew from the arcade game it sounded kind of like waka 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 waka, where this was more like a bop 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 chomp chomp chomp. It was really weird, and I don't know why I'm doing sound effects. Here, another version of Space Invaders. This one with the standard art on the label. Space Invaders. So I have 2 copies of Space Invaders. Here's probably one of the greatest paddle games of all time, especially with multiplayers. Warlords. Gotta love that. Look at the knight on the cover there. Warlords. And here's a company that I quite liked besides Activision, called Magic. I like them for their interesting looking cartridges, their use of like this tinfoil metallic shiny labels, really cool, and always interesting artwork. A lot of imagination from a Magic. A lot of times they use models and just different effects to create these images on their labels. Really cool. Here we have a Sphinx. Really cool. This was another great game, and another great looking model on the cover here of a spaceship for Cosmic Ark. Cosmic Ark. A fun game. Some might say monotonous, but it got pretty hectic after a while. And it was one of those games where you always just wanted to give it one more go to see if you could go a little bit farther. Get that score up a little higher. Cosmic Ark. Fun game. Alright, second last we have Star Voyager by Magic. And the last Magic game, which is of note because it is Atlantis. Not only one of their great games for the Atari 2600, but Atlantis 2, some of you will know this well and some not so well. Atlantis 2, my understanding is they're always released in cartridges. I don't know if any actually said 2 on them, but I know many Atlantis 2s are actually in identical looking shells and labels that simply say Atlantis on them. They're not even designated as an Atlantis 2. And the only way to tell that you have an Atlantis 2 game is to pop it in. I think it's something about the font of the score or something like that. I can't remember the details, but there's a way to tell by looking at the actual gameplay if it's actually an Atlantis 2 cartridge. In which case, if it is, you could, stick that sucker on eBay, and it's a little bit rare, harder to find. When you find an Atlantis 2, you can get some good money for that. So I'm really gonna have to get around to checking this cartridge, make sure it's not actually an Atlantis 2. Most likely it's not, since all of these games basically didn't buy any of them. They all came packed with different models of the 2600 that I've picked up, from the everything from the Coleco Gemini to the Sears arcade version that I picked up, and a few others, an Atari Junior, and these cartridges were all included. Some had 5, some had 10 cartridges, some had a couple cartridges, and that's how I ended up with this collection of cartridges. So not bad, but yep. At some point these babies will be sold or traded, and I will just stick with my Harmony cartridge and my Halo 2600. So I just wanted to give you all a look at my Atari cartridge collection, as it may be the last time you'll be seeing them, at least all together like this. So Rob, MaximumRD out. Thanks for watching this video and checking out some good old classic Atari gaming goodness.